My name is Edivandro Confrorto. I'm a global expert on organizational agility, innovation, strategy implementation and transformation. I'm currently working with some projects globally, helping organizations and leaders develop concepts and implement transformation initiatives in their organizations.
Some years ago you published an article on improvisation. So how does that connect to this whole complexity?
Yes, and I was really glad to meet you and learn that you're doing some research in that area, because I'm also one of my hats, my background is in research. So my master's degree, my PhD, and even I worked for 2 years at MIT, studying improvisation, hybrid models, and hybrid organizations and innovation. Mainly focus on organizational agility, so how these concepts, how these practices can help organizations to become more agile, and actually not agile by just become agile, but agile as a capability, agility as a capability. And in 2016, we did a research, 2 years later, before we started research, and we published an article, Learning the Art of Business Improvisation at MIT's Law and Management Review in 2016. And we are trying to connect the improvisation capabilities with project environments. So how teams that were using agile techniques, practice, and approach were improvising as well, where we're learning and taking some of these competence to solve problems. And I started the article by defining what's improvisation. I think it's a fair question. So for me, improvisation in the business context is how do you create and implement an unplanned solution to solve a problem that you didn't foresee. Besides all the planning we do in organizations, all the strategic planning from top down to bottom up, most of the time, because the dynamic of business today, the dynamic of disruption in terms of technology, innovation, and also the change in the way people are working and consuming, you cannot plan most of the time actually. You try to plan, but you need to have a mindset that that plan is going to change. And that's where today, even more important today than like a few years ago when I published the article, I must say that our improvisation capabilities are extremely important. And there are many ways that organizations can try to emulate or develop these capabilities. So you don't need to be an actor or a singer or a jazz player to learn these competences, but you can develop and can help your teams develop these competences in your team, in your projects, in your operations across the organization. So improvisation is really important today because the pace we are changing and all these innovations, these disruptive changes that are happening in organizations, they force us to have a different mindset and a different behavior when you look at planning and when you look at doing things. So I'm not saying planning is not important, planning is extremely important, but if you don't have these improvisational capabilities, chances are that when you hit a problem or something that you didn't plan it, you're gonna get stuck, and that's the issue. That's the difference between really agile organizations compared to those organizations that don't have this capability.
What kind of capabilities are these improvisational capabilities?
That's a good question. Let me see if I can get a list of them. So from my experience in the research I did in this area, I think it's really important. Let's start with the background. For an individual or a team, experience matters. Meaning, if you never worked in an innovation project before, chances are the first time you do that, you're going to have some issues and challenge to quickly come up with solutions that you didn't think about it. So experiencing working in different environments, working with different projects, different situations, different industries sometimes, will help you become more expert in improvisation capabilities. The other thing I think it's extremely important is your openness to accept failure as part of the process. especially when you're starting. If you go to a jazz concert, for example, if you're not an expert in jazz music, as I'm not the either, so it's not my case either. But if you go to a live concert, you're not gonna notice when they are making mistakes, and they are making mistakes. Even though they are very experienced, they play together for hours, for days, for months, or even for years. They're playing together, even though they are making mistakes. But they're correcting those mistakes so quickly that you don't notice. And that's how some organizations are doing. Some organizations that are able to improvise and have this organizational agility capability, sometimes they do mistakes, but it's so small or the impact is very low that you don't even notice. So this ability to accept failures and to learn quickly from those failures is extremely important. The other one is you need a repertoire of different experiences I mentioned in order to be creative. And today, those ones that are the best improvisers, if you do an analysis between different fields of study, including music, you're going to realize that they are very capable of integrating and connecting the dots quickly. So they can see a solution very quickly because they're able to see the whole more effectively than a regular people that are not improvisers and don't have that skill. And that's the reason they can quickly turn something from a really complex problem to a really simple, nice, elegant solution. And that goes along with creativity. A lot of things that one other thing that I think is extremely important as a behavior, as a capability, is your ability to learn as fast as you can. And that also goes along with the failure aspect. So today, because you are, for example, you are bombarded by a lot of information. You have social media, you have so many articles being published every day, so many books. You have plenty of information. So we don't have any issue about availability of information and data. The problem is how fast you can learn and understand where those learnings or those knowledges, or that knowledge specifically, will help you solve your problem. So you need to be connected, you need to be able to navigate this social environment, this digital world. And for people with my age, we saw that happening. For my nephew, for example, he's 19 years old today. He was born digital. And for him, it's very easily to know, oh, I can find this information there, I can talk to that person. So he is able to connect things because he doesn't have the information, but he knows where the information is. And that's very important for improvisation. So those are the 4-5 key concepts, key characteristics I would say that are essential for improvisation. We can talk about probably many more competencies, but these are the 4 or 5 things that I will focus on to start with. For some types of situations, some types of industries and projects, you cannot plan everything. And that's where I think that's the sweet spot for you to start trying and experimenting some of these improvisational capabilities. So in my article, I described some situations in which you can do that. So it's very good to have a team that understands the whole concept together. It's very good to have an environment, a working environment with visual aids that will help you, visual artifacts, visual tools that will help you improvise. So you need to build that environment. It's a safe environment where you can experiment developing these improvisational capabilities. And of course, as you go along this journey, training, developing your content as well in your organization will help you to spread out that knowledge and also get more people together to improvise or to be a team that is capable to improvise effectively. So Ed Catmull, for example, he's speaking at this event, and he wrote the masterpiece Creative Ink. And he described a lot of the key competence from Pixar, and the teams that were developing movies and ideas. And he wrote a lot about accepting mistakes as a key piece of the process. So it's funny because from his industry, compared to some of the industry, it might sound very weird and negative, but he used to say that if you're not making mistakes, it means you're not creating something new. You're just copying someone else. You're just doing the same. So that's a key measure for your organization to say, okay, am I improvising? Am I trying to improvise? Am I innovating? If you're not making mistakes, it seems that you're trying the same stuff other organizations are doing already. So you're gonna have the same result as they're having. And a lot of organizations today, they want to develop this innovation capability. And for me, when you talk about innovation, disruptive business models, creating new business models, so we have Alex Osterwalder here being the chair of the conference, and he wrote a lot about new business models. If you don't have improvisation, agility capabilities, you're not going to get there. So we are doing the same as other industries are doing, as your competitors are doing, and the risk is that in 5 years, 10 years from now, depends where you are in the industry, you might be out of the market.
Avoid trying to do thousands of things that doesn't work. We have 274 templates for your business success. Reach your ambitious goals with one-on-one sprint coach. We double your revenue in 90 days.